Blue Lock dropped us straight heat. As we see, the Blue Lockers are going wild on their counterattack. But to know more, you will have to wait. But trust me, there is a ton more stuff, so get ready. So starting off this chapter, we see Isagi and Karasu at the top, before seeing Shidou, who has an entire demon surrounding him. And Isagi thinks that Karasu is using Shidou as his main weapon. With that, we then see Shidou, who looks freaky like always. He has his tongue out, and says that it's time to blast out this goal load, which bro, he is going too far recently. Someone has to lock this man up. Anyway, we then see Charles from the side as he is right by Isagi. Now Charles starts to just laugh a ton as he says that Shidou is finally here, and he even adds in their little demon emoji at the end. However, that's not all that Charles says, as he also says that he played with him in the Neo-Egoist League, so he knows how he and Karasu make a killer duo, which seems to be spot on so far. After that, we move into Karasu's head as he looks at Shidou, who is going crazy on the field. And he thinks that they have got to score before Hugo gets to them, thinking that, by his analysis, no matter when or where, Shidou is strong and fearsome enough to be exactly who he is. We then get a close-up of Shidou, who looks extremely determined, as Karasu then continues and explains that, to put it positively, he's a genius at expressing himself, but to put it negatively, he indiscriminately releases energy to the extent that he ends up influencing those around him. With that, Shidou then sends the ball over to Hiyori, who traps it flawlessly, and Karasu continues with his thoughts as he says that it's why a pairing with Shidou means being changed or opposing him. That's the only communication possible, calling Shidou a demon to test your ego against, and that might be like the best description I have ever heard someone say about Shidou, as that's spot on. After that, we see Isagi rushing up on the field, and he says that he understands, saying that, now that he thinks back, he never imagined having a chemical reaction with Shidou. He looks pretty worried as he wonders if it is because he adapts to opponents too much, before he then throws that thought to the side, and instead says that it must be because he devours them to score. He explains that, unlike him, Karasu keeps an effective distance from whoever he's working with, approaching and moving away as needed to either accept or reject their methods. After that, we see Hiyori sending away the ball to someone as Isagi then continues and says that Karasu is an independent player with a strong sense of balance. His special mindset that can resist Shidou's influence is exactly what their team needs right now. After that, we see that the ball from Hiyori goes straight to Karasu, who, to be honest, traps it super flawlessly. With that, Karasu looks around the field and thinks that making sense of Shidou's powerful drives and imagination to work with him is something only he can pull off, since he is more cool-headed than the others. Though it isn't like he loves that part of himself, which sounds pretty depressing and sad at the end of the day. But still, it sounds like it's something that Blue Lock is in current need of right now, so I guess that he has no choice. Anyway, we then see Gabin, one of the French players, saying that Shidou is cutting behind them, which he sure is doing as he flies right past Gabin. Honestly, Gabin might have been able to do something if he hadn't just been standing still and yapping, but sure. Anyway, with that we see Karasu, whose eyes are going pretty wild, and he even gets out metavision from the looks of it, and he says, "Beat Isagi" out loud before in his head, thinking that having Shidou as his pawn will bring about his regime change. With that, he wastes no time at all as he sends the ball up towards Shidou. Shidou looks at the incoming ball and starts to look fired up as he says that now it's time to smash it in and calls it a piece of cake. However, sadly for him, it won't be as easy as he thinks it will be, as out of nowhere, Loki with demon-looking eyes appears right on his side as he says that he is well aware that he is bad news, since after all, he was his master in the Neo-Egoist League. Shidou just looks at him in total disbelief, wondering how in the world he is here. Karasu shares the same thought as he looks completely lost, as he wonders how he was able to catch up right now. Shidou then starts to look possessed, like always, as he asks if it isn't the speed demon Loki. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? However, he then starts to laugh maniacally as he says that it's still just a 50-50 dead heat. He looks at the incoming ball and says that whoever touches it first is the winner, so will it be either Loki or Shidou? Well, I can reveal that it's neither of them, as out of nowhere, Barou comes right behind them, and he jumps up and snatches away the ball by trapping it with his chest, and honestly, this panel with Barou is just amazing. We then see that Barou already has his predator eyes out and ready. He then tells Shidou that it's him, the cellular explosion freak. Shidou just looks at him in confusion and asks him what he is talking about. However, Barou then continues his dialogue as he says that he is replacing Isagi as Blue Lock's new king, and honestly, I'm surprised that Barou would give away the title of king to someone other than himself, but sure. Anyway, after that, Barou shows us why he is a straight-up beast as he fires away the ball, which of course goes straight into the goal with no issue at all. We then also see Isagi down at the bottom as he looks super shocked as he just says Barou's name, and that he hunted Shidou, which sure enough sounds extremely cool, as Barou then also goes to celebrate his well-deserved goal. With that, we then get to the commentators as they scream his name and call it a super goal. They say that stealing a pass to Shidou, he fires off a blistering shot to tie the game. Barou has thrown down the counter gauntlet. With that, we see both Aiku and Ryu looking super hyped as they scream out. Meanwhile, under them, we have Isagi, who just looks completely lost. He thinks that Barou gave up on Isagi, who was useless, and then he switched to trying to devour Shidou since the hottest part of the field is around Karasu. With that, we see Shidou looking straight at Barou as he tells him that his shot was sick just now, but that he is still pissed about it and calls him a hyena. Barou just almost looks down at him as he tells him that if he doesn't like it, then he needs to bite back and calls Shidou a cell exploder, and that name just has to stop. Anyway, while the two of them are going off, acting like a married couple, we get back to Isagi, who thinks that as the two jokers devour each other, and the one who tamed them both is the new ruler, Karasu, which is just so much aura, like being the ruler over both Barou and Shidou. Karasu then has a smug expression on himself as he tells them good, and to keep it up, saying that it's now his turn in the spotlight. Isagi then gets into his own head as he starts to wonder if the team is stronger than when he was the number one, and if he is losing his place here, explaining that Blue Lock is falling into Karasu's hands, which is just absolutely insane. With that, we then get to France, and we see Rodan calling out to Hugo and Loki. He asks them if they lost here, and if they really think that they can win the World Cup. Hugo tells him that he surely doesn't, but says that Loki just can't score a suitable goal. This annoys Loki pretty understandably, as he then tells Hugo to be silent, and says that it's just Hugo's passes that just suck. After that, the two of them look at each other, really annoyed. Meanwhile, Rodan tells them that he is changing their formation, and that they are making bolder attacks, telling them to show off their guts. We then see Loki telling him yes, and that there is no need to tell him, and Hugo also agrees in no time. With that, we see the match restarting with Hugo having the ball, and the text says that Hugo knows that being born in the same era and the same country and meeting Loki was part of his destiny. With that, we see them playing around with footballs and just chilling. Anyway, the next chapter will be called Vivian Hugo. Now I don't know about you, but I don't think you need to be some sort of genius to guess that the chapter will be about Hugo since, well, if it isn't, then I'll honestly have no idea what to do since it's literally his name. I also saw a comment from my leak video saying that this is the second time that anyone's name is the title for a chapter, since apparently Kaiser was the first one, and now Hugo has one. Firstly, thank you to whoever pointed that out, because in all honesty, that like super cool. Personally, I had never thought about it, but for some reason it's just so cool that it's only the two of them, as it's kind of an aura move. Now, since we saw in the last panel that Hugo and Loki was sitting on the ground and playing football, I think that it wouldn't just be about Hugo, but also about Loki, and most likely how the two of them met and such, which is something I really want to know. On top of that, just from this small little panel it gives off the kind of Rin and Sei vibe from the U20 flashbacks when it was snowing and, you know, Sei came back. But that this being the good ending if you get what I mean. Loki and Hugo also kind of reminds me off both Rin and Sei, because they could have been just like this. Since Sei was determined to be a playmaker, and Rin was determined to be a striker, and if Rin had just accepted Sei's decision, then I full-heartedly believe that they could have been like Loki and Hugo, and just imagine that. How insanely cool wouldn't that be? I still feel like there is a chance for it, because I doubt that it will be bad blood between those for all eternity. So they will most likely come around and hopefully make up and become an even better duo. Then Loki and Hugo, if not Sei, just leaves Rin for Isagi, as that would probably be the final nail in the coffin. Anyway, I forgot to say that there won't be a break next week, which completely slipped my mind. But at least I'm saying it now, and honestly, I don't know how the Blue Lock authors are doing it. But the way that they are cooking recently is just out of this world, so big ups to them for bringing us this amazing story every week. Now let's move and talk about this chapter, and just how utterly insane this chapter was, because the question isn't if something happened, but instead what didn't happen, as we got so much heat. Starting off, we need to talk about this pure insanity of a panel. Like I always think that the Blue Lock art can't possibly be better, but every time I get these thoughts, the authors somehow manage to always one-up themselves, and drop more heat because what even in the world is this? It's like a demon, but it looks awesome, and I really like it. Next up, I just love Charles, and honestly, who doesn't? I feel like Charles is one of those characters where I have actually never seen anyone hate him. I can't think of anyone else. The next one would most likely be like Bachira, who has done under the radar and doesn't get hate, unless it's some Nagi fans saying that he eliminated him, which is just absurd at the end of the day. But back to the boy Charles, and you can clearly just see and hear how extremely excited he was at Shidou coming in and wreaking havoc. I can't wait until the two of them are able to officially meet with each other, as until now they have just been by each other, but not really said anything. I hope that they don't make us wait until the end of the match to see an interaction between the two of them, and it must happen like after Shidou scores or something, because if not, then they are straight up evil. I did really like Karasu's analysis that he had gotten when he was thinking about Shidou. Now, while I understand it, I can't explain it for my life, but it sounded really cool and really pictured Shidou's character. And also somewhat why Isagi has never been able to trigger some sort of chemical reaction together with Shidou. But just thinking about the two of them being a team and doing a goal together makes me so excited to see it. Now back to Karasu. Here I am a bit conflicted as I don't know if I like that Karasu's main focus is to defeat Isagi, and because then push his winning path onto the team. It's not like I hate it, but it just feels like for the last few chapters that's everything that we has been hearing about. It is better than Karasu saying that he is doing it for the team, which he and Isagi talked about before, but still Karasu talking about how he is gonna take over and crush Isagi every second feels a bit draining, but at the same time I do in fact like Isagi a lot, so there's a possibility that I might just be super biased here. After that we have to quickly discuss Loki. Now I knew that Loki was quick, but he is super quick, like he was just at the furthest point, that being right by Blue Lock's goal, but then for him to be right here at the next furthest point is just insane. But it's good at the same time as I have been seeing a lot of Loki slander all over my social media, so him doing some work is working in his favor. Now did it work in his favor with Barou coming and stealing the ball from him and Shidou? Most likely not, as that will also be spinned as Loki being trash somehow, which I think is ridiculous as well. He had Shidou covered, and even though he is supposed to be this insane prodigy, he still can't possibly do absolutely everything. But at the end of the day, I thought that this was super sick of Loki. And if there is any Loki's fans out there, then don't worry, as Loki will, without a single doubt, score in this game. So just hold out. Now we have to quickly touch on the Barou goal, because how could we not? Let's be honest, this goal was straight heat, especially this panel where he came in and just swept away the ball from Shidou, like his whole lion is out. And I didn't even notice it when I was reading it for the first time. But if you look at the lion's mouth, then you can see that it is eating a crow, like he's eating Karasu. How insanely cool isn't that? Now, other than that, to be honest, his shot and celebration were really mid, especially his goal celebration, as he didn't even get a full panel for it. But at least we got this insane panel, so I guess that it somewhat makes up for it. Now next, I really want to talk about what is happening between Karasu and Isagi. Like, these two are going straight at it, and currently it is Karasu who is winning. But come on, Isagi is the main character, so he will cook up something for sure. But honestly, I can't even begin to imagine what it's going to be. But let me know down in the comments if you have any ideas, and also what you would rate this chapter. Personally, I will give it a pretty decent 8 out of 10. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel. And while you are at it, leave a comment and a like. Also, if you can, hype the video down below, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.